On November 16, 1941, Oscar, or OB, and Helen Swanson welcomed their middle son Paul into their Madison family, which included older sister Joanne and eventually younger brother Jack. Paul cannot pinpoint exactly why he got initially interested in sports, but he does know that it was a slow developmental process. To begin with, he was small and slow, and the Milwaukee suburb of Shorewood, where they moved, did not have a lot of organized youth athletic programs. He and Jack just made up games with a focus on pickup baseball and basketball. When the area finally organized sports, he remembers working as an umpire for Jack Nagel. At Shorewood High School, Swanson was very active in sports as the manager for the cross-country and track and field teams, as the statistician for basketball and football, and as a reporter for the weekly Village newspaper. At Miami University of Ohio, he was actively engaged in intramurals, winning championships as a fast-pitch softball pitcher and a free-throw shooting team member. All these experiences paved the way for Paul's later significant contributions to the Wisconsin and Madison sports community. Swanson returned to Madison in 1963, accepting a job teaching mathematics at the newly opened La Follette High School. In the early 60s, all you needed was a little knowledge about a sport to coach. So he began with Four Lakes football, an interscholastic athletic program at the time. Paul coached football for 24 years, working under Otto Breitenbach, Dave Moss, Buddy Wohler, Garner Pleasant, and Bernie Wiggins in a successful program which, in the early 70s, had over 350 teenagers playing on 10 teams with a coaching staff of 15. In 1965, he started and led the tennis program for 5 years and later filled in as the swim coach for 3 years. When Breitenbach left the school to join the UW athletic department, Swanson became the athletic director for the next 12 years. Under the mentorship of Ken Keitlinger, Big 8 executive director, and John Clement, Monona Grove athletic director, he was able to handle the tremendous growth in female sports under Title IX, while doing all the budgeting, hiring of officials, and home game management, in addition to all the little things that freed coaches to coach. Early on, he demonstrated his approach to the job when he offered his services and La Follette's facilities to salvage a weather-plagued Badger Conference track meet. Clement commented at the time that that's the kind of cooperation we get from La Follette and Swanson. Being an athletic director and coach, Paul says, provided him with the opportunity to experience a unique relationship with students far beyond what a classroom teacher can experience. Connection with athletes like Steve Amundsen, Al Schumacher, and Scott Seeliger, established over 40 years ago, continue to the present day. During this time, Swanson also became active in the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association, eventually becoming a district representative, executive board member, as well as president from 1982 until 1984, when the group hosted the national conference in Milwaukee. He was twice named District 5 AD of the Year. From 1987 until 1989, Swanson served as the athletic director for Stevens Point Area High School. Afterwards, Swanson started, organized, and supervised a La Follette Lancer basketball program that eventually grew to 20 5th through 8th grade teams. For 5 summers, he was the president of the Minocqua Youth Baseball Program. Swanson's Mansfield connection was initiated in 1975 when he got engaged to Ruth Laurie Mansfield, a physical education teacher at La Follette and daughter of legendary Diney Mansfield. Following proper protocol, Paul sought the approval of his future father-in-law, Diney, in the hospital for a heart problem, who was okay with the marriage, and in fact said that he had planned for the wedding by saving $1 each year. Married in 1975, Ruth and Paul have 3 sons: Jay, a teacher and coach, Pete, a businessman, and Scott, a teacher and coach. All 3 sons were 3-sport athletes in high school and competed at Division III colleges. Even though administrative, coaching, family, and teaching responsibilities took much of his time, Swanson still had time to play. He spent the 1970s active as a major American League softball pitcher and in the City Recreational Basketball League. Paul fondly remembers 2 West Zulte games. He threw a 7-inning complete game using only 37 pitches, and another in which he gave up a home run to opposing pitcher Sonny Hornbeck while trying to intentionally walk him. During this period, Paul began his longtime collaboration with the WIAA as an on-site coordinator for its state tournaments. In 1975, John Roberts, WIAA Executive Director, asked Swanson to manage the boys' swimming and diving meets at the UW Natatorium. He accepted because he respected the organization's values, had a good working relationship with the group, and considered this as another way to serve the athletic community. When girls swimming came to Madison, he added that responsibility, and when Pete Lohr retired in 2003, Paul took 6 more tournaments for golf and tennis. By 2016, when he retired, Swanson had been the on-site director for about 135 tournaments in 41 years, as well as a worker for over 50 tournaments in 9 additional sports. Ruth and he were coordinators for the Badger State Games track and field competitions for 9 years, organizing the 2,000 competitors and 150 volunteers each summer. Retiring from teaching gave Swanson yet another opportunity for community service utilizing his mathematical training. For the past 21 years, he has been an active volunteer in the AARP Foundation's Tax Aid Program, which assists low and middle income taxpayers and the elderly. First as a training specialist, then as a district coordinator, and then as the state coordinator, Paul spent more than 1,000 hours a year volunteering. For these efforts, in 2011, AARP gave him its highest award, the Andress Award for Community Service, and in 2013, its Tax Aid Fellow Award. When Swanson received the news of his selection, he says that, quite simply, I was blown away. He is humbled and honored to join this group of outstanding athletes and contributors to the Madison sports scene. His Mansfield Hall of Fame family includes father-in-law Diney and brothers-in-law Bill and Bob. His La Follette Hall of Fame family is represented by Augie Vandermeulen, Glenn Borland, Otto Breitenbach, Pete Olson, Gus Pollock, Steve Amundsen, Gary Anderson, Mark Barron, Tim Jordan, Rick Olson, Caroline Shield, and the lead in this year's class, Erica Brown. To be included with these people and those who were introduced earlier is a great privilege. The Madison Sports Hall of Fame Club and Strand Associates Incorporated are honored to welcome Paul Swanson into the class of 2018.